Hi friends! I watched another episode of Steven Universe, and this one was called Cheeseburger Backpack. Now, this episode felt a lot shorter than the last few I watched, and I'm not sure if that's because it actually was shorter or if I just enjoyed it that much, because I really did like this episode. And here's why. So, the episode starts off where Steven was waiting for a package and it arrives the same time the crystal gems come home. So he shows off what he got to them, and it is a cheeseburger backpack. And I think novelty backpacks are pretty cool. I myself have a Hello Kitty one that I got from a yard sale. Um, so anyway, he insists that if they let him come along to their next mission that he can help out using his cheeseburger backpack. So they agree reluctantly, and he stuffs his backpack full of a bunch of stuff around the house, and then they go. I kind of like this one throwaway line. He picks up a stuffed animal that can talk called Mr. Queasy, and he's like, "This'll definitely come in handy." And as he's saying that, he throws out a first aid kit from the backpack and puts Mr. Queasy in there instead. I thought that was pretty funny. But, yeah, so that was fun. And, so when they get there, they're trying to save this huge tower that was like some sort of sanctuary for crystal gems on Earth. I'm not entirely sure, but it looked pretty cool, and they're trying to save it by putting this statue on it in the end. Um, so that's why Steven suggested the backpack and everything, because he was like, oh, well, I can hold it in this backpack, blah, blah, blah. And so the building's pretty cool. It's basically a tower that spirals upwards, which is pretty awesome. And I like how this episode really shows off the family dynamic between the crystal gems and Steven with the way they react to everything he does. Like, Garnet is like the father, pretty chill, kicks ass. I love her because she really kicks ass. And I kind of noticed the fatherness of it when after his first idea works and she's passing by him, she like jostles his hair a little bit, like patting his head, um, which I thought was really cute. Like there's just this span of a few seconds where you really see the family dynamic. Garnet's the father with the jostling of the hair. Amethyst is like a sibling because when she passes Steven, she like bumps him with her shoulder. And then Pearl, she's definitely the mother, you can tell, because like the whole time she's like, "Oh my God, Steven, you need to be safe." And then like when Amethyst like grabs them both, swings them across, she's like, "Don't ever do that again." And so I like that. This whole episode really shows off the dynamic between those characters, and I like that a lot because I feel like before they didn't really have a lot of time like developing their relationship with each other. So this one definitely does that, and I like that a lot because I like character relationships with each other and all that stuff in writing. Um, and they also kind of doubted Steven at first when they first got there, but then when his ideas start to work, they start like turning to him for answers and encouraging him, and I really like that. It shows like their own personal growth too, because they were like kind of like at the beginning of the series thinking that Steven was kind of a screw up, and now they're like, he has some good ideas. Maybe he's okay to go on some adventures with us. Well, they wouldn't think adventures, they're more like missions or necessities, but he sees it as an adventure, so. Um, but yeah, Garnet kicks ass. There was this really cool shot where um, there's like a river of water. Steven pulls out a raft, but it gets swept away by the current, and then Garnet knocks down this pillar, and they use that as a bridge. And I thought it was really cool because it was just like punch, and it creates a crack, kicks it down. It's awesome. So yeah, she's a really cool character. I like her. But in the end, they get to the place where they're supposed to put the statue, and Steven freaks out because he forgot the statue on the bed in his house. So they don't have the one thing they needed to save this place. So he puts Mr. Queasy up there instead, and it reacts for a little bit, like it makes you think it's gonna work, but it doesn't. Mr. Queasy pretty much explodes, and the whole place crumbles down, and then they're just floating out in the ocean. And I really like this last part. They're floating out in the ocean. They're like, some of your ideas worked. The place is falling apart when we got there, so it's not your fault, blah, blah, blah. But then the raft from earlier floats up to the top, and he's like, yeah! Because, it came in handy anyway. Yeah, and then they were like, oh yeah, it is a 3-hour paddle back to shore. And he was like, anyone want a soggy bagel? So he really did think ahead. He brought extra clothes and food provisions and a raft and stuff. If only he brought that first aid kit. Oh well. But yeah, sucks that they couldn't save that place because it looked really cool, and as Pearl said, it was Steven's heritage, so it was important. And I'm not sure how long the crystal gems live for, but if it's like over 1,000 years or so, I'm sure they had some sentimental attachment to that place. So it is a little sad that they couldn't save it, but shit happens. It's sad, but it happens. But anyway, so I think I liked this episode the most out of the ones that I've seen so far, just because it explores the relationship between Steven and the crystal gems more, whereas the last episode was exploring his relationship with his dad. So I'd like to see more of that because, like I said, I really like when cartoons, writing, anything like that explores character relationships and how they interact with each other. Because if you can't form an attachment to the characters, then you can't really form an attachment to the show. So I like getting to know the characters and what they feel and what they care about, and that makes me like them more, and in turn liking whatever I'm watching or reading more. So yeah, that's all I really have to say about this one. It was good. I liked it. Looking forward to the next one a lot more than I was before because I really, really liked this one more than the other ones I've seen so far. So, yay! Yeah, thank you guys for actually nagging me about watching this show because I finally got around to it and I'm enjoying it so far. So, and I hear it only gets better, so I'm excited for that. Anyway, talked your ear off enough. So, see you guys in the next one. Bye!